Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels, and we're going back to that horrible world known as the JRC. But before we do the usual disclaimers, I look a wee bit disheveled. Don't panic. I took off early from work, but God, the Labor Day back-to-back calls has already begun, and if I could have a dime for everyone saying, but I think that if I get this item now and it goes cheaper on Labor Day, I should be entitled to get some money back. Other businesses does it. Birch Lane does it. Honey, I also do the call center work for Birch Lane. You're lying. But yeah, welcome to my day. Sorry for being so disheveled. I'm doing this on the Monday that let's face it, my place is an unholy mess and I desperately need to clean. So I figure I would shave down the video time a little bit by getting some done this afternoon since I got off early. Pass the time between now and cashew chicken. So, now that I'm done with that rant, another one, briefly, because somehow, for some reason, this shit still comes onto my TL even a year later. We still have idiots in the media asking, but why is Amber Heard's career destroyed? Because she did it herself. And folks, let me make something clear to you. She didn't have all that bright of a future anyway. If you all watched her performance during the trial, that could tell you that not only can she not act, she couldn't even act when literally her career and livelihood was on the line, okay? Please go cry somewhere else other than my TL, please and thank you. Back to the subject, because God, I'm getting so tired of having the conversation. Right now, we're getting towards the end of the day out in Boston where they are protesting the torture that is still happening to the kids at the JRC right now while we're talking. Okay? That's what I would like to talk about. Getting those kids the hell out of that place. That's what I'd like to discuss. Just saying. So, if you news media would be so kind to actually report on real abuse right in front of you, that we actually have video evidence of taking place, that would be great. Quit simping for a liar. Go support the kids who are being brutalized and tortured every single day of their lives at the JRC. Because we've been begging you all for your help for years. That little time period in 2012 was great, but it's still going on. And you're still spending time defending a liar instead of trying to defend these kids who didn't do anything to deserve what is happening to them. Not sorry. You only care when it's a celebrity. Can we just be real here? Can we finally be honest with ourselves and admit that we only care if it's a rich, famous, white woman? Because we could have used you showing up today. Granted, I'm not in Boston, but the reason is I live paycheck to paycheck, folks. If I could be there, I would be. But you news organizers, you have the ability to be there, but you'd rather sit behind your desks and lie and cry and whine about how that case was won because of misogyny, when not realizing it's because she was lying, and badly. Okay, now the rant's over. Lesson is, kids, don't call yourself an activist when you only stand up during cases like this, when there is real things going on out in the world that you close your eyes to. Okay? You're not brave because you type a hashtag behind a keyboard. Brave is all the people right out there today in Boston. Now I'll stop. In the description box, folks, you're going to find a link to the article that the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read. It's written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics, wherein they interviewed and surveyed over 900 ABA professionals regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. Matter of fact, the JRC doesn't want you to read this article so much they've threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. Well, folks, NeuroClastic has refused, so you know the drill. Please read that article and share it on all your social media. Also included in there is NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding, folks, in case the JRC actually sees through with their threat. Also included in there is a link to the Ozarks First article in regards to the Agape boarding school, now known as Stone for Help boarding school situation. This is a so-called Christian-themed boarding school based out of Stockton, Missouri that takes in so-called trouble male teens that has impending, folks, over 21 civil lawsuits, claims, and allegations leveled against it, all which have been substantiated by the Missouri Department of Social Services, and they include the following: sodomy, rape, sexual assault, child abuse, psychological and emotional abuse, child trafficking, starvation, and folks, that's just for starters. You have one former staff member arrested by the FBI, another a doctor who's still on the premises with full access to the boys, up on multiple, again, substantiated claims of sodomy, rape, and sexual assault of the boys there. You have an attorney general too busy chasing after drag queens and trying and failing to defund public libraries to actually try, do his job and protect the kids out here. And we've got a governor, I don't know what to tell you, folks, but an intervention is not going to help at this point, all right? So, folks, please send help. Some of us do not have the money to be able to leave this state the way we would like to. So, and also share that on all your social media. Excuse me, allergies, folks. Also included the usual pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign, including Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject, Jennifer Masamba's behavioral sheet of shockable offenses, a clip out of the 7-hour ordeal undergone by Andre McCollins back in 2002, the templates, and the ever-present self-explanatory change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. When we discuss the JRC, folks, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please use your headphones, all right? Now, this channel is marked not for children for a reason. We use profanity and we speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they're watching, very obviously, parental supervision is advised, all right? All right, trigger warning, folks. Square your shoulders. Get you some kava tea. If you don't know what it is, look it up, order it. You need it. It's a beautiful thing in life. We are about to once again descend into the mad ravings of the lunatic mind known as Dr. Matthew Israel. You're going to hear gaslighting, victim blaming, pseudoscience, and lies, all from a man with a massive ego and even larger God complex. So, folks, prepare yourselves for the monumental amount of stupid we are about to read today, okay? To give you some context, we're going back into that testimonial that was put out by Dr. Matthew Israel in regards about, but this helped the kid. It really helped them. And these are the testimonies. And the MDRI, they're lying to you. They're lying. Dude, do you think I get paid? Because if I had an actual, just a penny for every time somebody says that we're getting paid, you really think I'd be here in this state? This is a nice apartment. It's true. I promise you, YouTube or whoever else you want to claim is funding me is not funding me. Call center is funding me. I don't do that stuff because I like it. Alright? Alright. So let's go ahead and go back to where we left off. If we reread a few parts, I do apologize. And I'm going to do what the MDRI does. We go through the statement and we give the context, even though Dr. Matthew Israel likes to tell you that we don't. And we're going to take out parts of it that are disturbing. Because we're allowed to do that in this country, Doctor. I don't know if you noticed, but freedom of speech, I'm allowed to have opinions and voice them loudly. That's kind of what I do. I don't care what anybody thinks. I've literally never cared what anybody thinks, but now I'm pushing 40. What little care I used to have is gone. So, proper warning if this is your first time. I don't care. I have zero, bleeps to give at this point in my life. None. I am what we call now an ancient autistic because I'm one of the very few of us who've managed to continue to live at possibly willing make it to 40. So, here we go. In December of 1999, I was placed on the GED. For the first month or so that I was on the GED, I displayed a few inappropriate behaviors. However, once I became assimilated to the fact that I was on the device and was aware of what the GED felt like, I would start displaying lots more minor behaviors that were not treated with the GED. Once the GED instances of me acting out became fewer and far in between. As a kid that was one of the last generation to be actively spanked, kid, allow me to address it for you. Did it stop the behavior? Yes. Did it stop the behavior forever? Hell no, it didn't. Because that's how fear works. You get the instant results, this instant I need it now culture wants, but they're not long lasting. And why is that? Because fear and torture are not addressing the issue, the root core that is producing these behaviors. That core is still there, which means when you're no longer under threat, what's going to happen? Well, just like us 90s kids, you're gonna rebel. By the way, rebelling is normal teenage behavior, Dr. Matthew Israel. I know you all in that medical model seem to have this weird-ass idea of neurotypical kids never rebelling, but I can tell you, it's not even remotely close to reality. All right? But let's move on here, shall we? Although when my contract was broken, I would display lots of inappropriate behaviors, but I would be selective as to not exhibit GED behaviors, although I would occasionally slip up and receive a GED application. Oh my God, you know what that's called, folks? It's called playing the system. It's literally something every teenager does. You know, where we dance and dance and dance with that line and tip our foot over? Welcome to teenage life. All right. The fact of the matter is, kid, what is the long-lasting impact? If I could ask these kids who gave these testimonials any question, that would be the main one. The main question is, Is this so-called miracle device that got you to behave, was the impact of it long lasting? Or did you, once that fear factor was removed, begin to exhibit the same behaviors again? Because I'm going to guess that you did. But moving on. By the spring of 2001, it had been several months since the previous major behavioral incident. JRC began to rapidly fade me off the GED, although the fading process started nearly a year prior. Bouts of behavioral issues impeded the fading process. This is what they use. They always use the fading, but the minute you have the behavior, it slams back on. It kind of really defeats the purpose. People in ordinary life have slip-ups. Neurotypicals have slip-ups. You ever seen a neurotypical alcoholic? They do great. They're off it for 10 years and then they have a lapse. It happens. This is reality. This is real life. So is the idea when these happen to punish the person? To punish them horrifically and rub their noses in it? No, it is to affirm that the victory of the last 10 years matters, and that they had a slip up, and that they are fully capable to once up take up the reins of their life again. But not according to the JRC. I was completely faded from the GED and was moved into a less restrictive residence apartment with a student-staff ratio of 4-1. In the apartment, I enjoyed many privileges such as grocery shopping, going on weekly field trips to the movies, the arcade, the YMCA, local parks, etc. I even attended a few sporting events, including the Providence Brooms, Harlem Globetrotters, and even the Red Sox game at Fenway Park. Okay, kid, these are normal things that every teenager enjoys, first off. And second off, every program that I've ever been involved in an official capacity and otherwise, all included these things. And these things were not things that had to be earned. They were things that were a part of the program. In fact, they were used as a mechanism to teach, social activity, going out there, being amongst regular people, practicing conversations. Okay? This should be a normal part of the program. It's also normal in normal teenage life. It's not something that you should have to earn the right by performing like a performing seal to be able to have access to. Now, I was diagnosed late, but I was always a little odd. Do you think that my mother made me earn to go to Silver Dollar City, the local theme park? No. I did not have to jump through hoops to be able to enjoy the same things that my neurotypical peers got to do. That's what's insane about the medical model. The way that they categorize it, when you have to earn privileges that are just given to neurotypical kids, whether they misbehave or not. And please don't tell me you don't, because guess what? I was a kid. I watched y'all do it. But you're making us jump through hoops to earn the things that our neurotypical peers are given. Okay? Please shut up. Because if you say you don't, you're lying. Moving on. Sorry, but God, that makes me... it's this double standard. And these doctors and these people who push ABA get our parents to do this. And it's even worse, folks, when it's an individual with neurotypical siblings. And they get to watch their parents carry off the neurotypical kids who just night before cussed their mother out to their face to go do these things while they still have to earn them. If you think that's not psychologically damaging, yeah, just saying. All these were privileges I could not even dream of prior to being placed on the GED. You see what I mean? They're categorizing them as privileges that we have to earn. But nobody is asking why that neurotypical, the same age bracket as me, doesn't have to earn these so-called privileges like I do. This is the crap, the double standard bull that is pushed not just on autistic kids, but kids with ADHD and people with other neurodiversity and other disabilities. And you wonder why we come in with a massive chip on our shoulder. Just saying. Because we're going to tell you it's unfair. Because it is. It's not being woke, it's speaking facts. I know some of y'all are allergic, but from September 2001 to September 2002, I would have had few bouts of behavioral incidents that was placed on and off the GED. However, in October 2002, I was faded from the GED for good. How, in the fall of 2002, I attended a culinary class at the Blue Hills Technical School, and in November, I worked in the computer department as in a school job. Again, here we go with this job inside the school. Kid, if you think this is liberation, I got beach property right going for rock bottom prices in Kansas, all right? If you think that they had the right to force you to either be tortured or get the right to do the same things that your neurotypical peers get to do without jumping through the hoops, Also, I began preparing for the New York Regents exams, and in 2003, I began taking the Regents exams. In the fall of 2003, it became clear to JRC, my parents in the school district, that I had accomplished all I could while at JRC. And in 2004, I was transitioned back to public school in New York and mainstreamed. Gee, I wonder why. Could it be? Oh, I don't know. That JRC is not accredited, and the only reason why this kid was sent back, even though they were making money off of him, is because they could not provide him with a diploma. Food for thought, isn't it? I moved to Florida in August of 2004, graduated from high school with honors in May 2005. Since then, I took and passed a couple of college courses, and I had a few jobs, including a seasonal position working for the bank as a data capture specialist, a job that I obtained because of my quick typing skills that I acquired at the JRC. Okay, kid, let me explain a few things to you. It's brutal, but let me lay out the reality for you. Seasonal jobs, it's not great, kid. It's not great at all. Matter of fact, you're performing at the same level as the rest of us. So, what advantage exactly did the JRC give you, other than a trauma that you are going to have to deal with someday? The idea behind these programs, particularly transition age programs, should be a prolonged, a career, kid, a career. Not seasonal jobs here and there. Okay? A few odds and ends jobs that people throw at you. Where's the longevity? And what skills did the JRC provide you with that is going to get you into that kind of career longevity? Because I'm going to tell you, kid, zero. You took a couple of college courses, kid. Did you actually go to college with the degree? Okay? One of these days, and it's gonna happen, if this is a genuine testimonial, that is, and not something pressured by your parents saying you must praise the JRC for such great success. By the way, great idea, parents, making the bar so damn low. Now, I'm going to pontificate on this real quick before we close out. One of my major problems, having worked with many parents and kids, is just how low the doctors and the medical model have convinced the parents to make the bar for these kids. I had numerous parents come walking through my office doors, staring at me like I was Jesus for doing the work that I did, having the diagnosis that I have, having the expertise and the knowledge that I did, the college, the certifications that I did. And having to explain to these parents that part of the reasons why I was able to do those things is because of where my mom and my dad and my stepdad held the bar. Because it wasn't down here at seasonal work, folks. It was college education, degree work. That's where they held the bar. And they held it there even after my diagnosis. Even though I sat there and listened to these doctors try to tell them to have realistic expectations. Yeah. When I say there's something really wrong with the medical model, this is what I'm talking about. The only one who should set the limits for themselves is your kids. Don't let these people convince you that they'll never do this and never do that. Don't let them get that into your heads. Sure, they may not be me. And I will support them on however they choose to go about life. Not everybody's at my same level. We all come along from different walks of life and we travel the same road differently. I get it. But don't let these doctors do this. And don't let them convince you that it is okay to make your kids have to earn the things that their neurotypical peers are just given. You're going to set them up for life with a massive chip on their shoulder that many of us carry. Another thing, I do not believe for 1 second that the successes that this kid has had has anything at all to do with the torture device that they strapped on him. In fact, you notice how he learned to work and manipulate the system. So tell me, what exactly did he learn? Nor do I believe him being harmed for those behaviors in any way actually helped him in development. Because I can tell you, as an ancient autistic, it's going to come to a head. You can only bury your deep-rooted problems and issues inside yourself for so long. Eventually, maybe now, maybe 5 years, maybe 10, 15, it may even be 30 years, for God's sake. My last major meltdown was when my dad died previously. Over the anniversary of flying home from his wake, I had a meltdown. 15 years. That stuff that you bury, those underlying issues, because tried to work through those issues. When you got a deep rooted issue that was never dealt with, and if you think that's not going to come to a head today because you've been able to keep above it and been able to mask and mask and mask and mask and mask, it will come to a head. Just saying. We're going to close on that note, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time. And as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. Bye-bye, everyone.